Hello and welcome to my channel, Making Crafts. Today I am using the Our Way collection by Stamperia, and this is the Fussy Cut pack or the Fussy Cut book, and then we have the 12 by 12 pack. And so I'm just doing a quick flip through of these, and then you'll see more of them as I'm using them in the video as I create this hinged journal. So for this journal, I originally was going to bind it using binder clips, but then once I started it, I decided I wanted to make a hinged journal. So at the beginning, I'm cutting it down for the size of the binder clips, but it worked out perfect for the tab journal, the hinged journal that I wanted to make. So what I did was I went through my paper pack and I found some sheets that I wanted to use as my pages. And I cut the pages down to 4 by 6. So you just start at the top of your page, cut down 4-inch strips, and then cut those strips in half to get your pages. So here are the pages that I've decided to use. I've also gone ahead and cut out the postcards that are on one of the pages in the paper pack. And then I went to the collectible paper pack and I cut out the fussy cuts in that pack. And I cut out a lot of them. I'm also going to be using ground espresso just to ink the edges of this set of papers. And so I'm just going to ink everything that I've cut out. So now I want to make a pocket page, and I wanted to show you how I did it. So I cut a piece of paper to 8 1/4 by 6 1/4, and then I'm scoring on the 8-inch mark, and then I score again on the 6-inch mark. So once I have this, I realized that I forgot to do one of the scoring. So when you put your paper in on the 8 1/4 inch side, you need to score at the 4-inch mark as well. Once I have all my score lines in, I'm just going to fold it up so that I can see them, and I'm going to trim off the one little scored area here. And you can see in the video how I'm cutting that off. And then I like to just angle the corners so that everything folds together nicely. And then I'm just going to press these down and add glue to these flaps, and we will have created a pocket. And then I'm just going to cut a little notch out of the pocket using my round punch. And I can't remember if this is a 1.5 or 2-inch punch. And then I did go ahead and ink around it. And you can see here that this is the exact same size as the pages. It measures 4 by 6. So now I'm going to take all the tickets. There was a lot of tickets in the collectibles pack, and so the Fussy Cut pack, and so I'm just going to take all the tickets and I'm going to fold them in half. And the ones that are longer, I'm going to score down the middle just to make it easier to fold them in half. And so what I'm doing is I'm kind of looking at how the print goes to decide how to fold them in half so that the print is going the right direction when I do add these tabs. Some of the longer ones had the print going a different direction, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do, so I decide once I'm putting the journal together. But you can see here I'm just scoring down the middle, or about the middle. You don't have to be exact. I'm just kind of eyeballing it because it doesn't have to be perfectly down the middle. And this is just helping me to fold it in half. And then some of them I will just fold in half on their own because they're not so thin that it would be hard to fold. So now I'm going to go ahead and score some of the postcards, and the postcards I'm going to add to the pages as well, and you'll see in a few minutes how I use these to attach the pages together as part of my hinges. So what I've decided for these postcards that came in the kit, they measured 4 by 6, I believe, or a little bit under 4 by 6. Let me take that back, they're a little under. So I am scoring about on the 1.5 inch, and then I also go back and I score at about 3/4 of an inch. And so for each one, I'm just deciding where I want my score line. Do I want it on the left-hand side or the right-hand side? And what I'm trying to do is not to cut into anything that's important like wording or like this bird here, so I do the left-hand side. Once again, I score on the 1.5 inch mark and at the 3/4 inch mark. And that is like almost halfway. So I just needed it to be kind of halfway between. And you'll see in a moment how I use that. So I'm going to use the tabs these are going to be tabs, but I'm going to use the tickets and pieces from the kit to put my book together and use it as the hinges. So I'm just deciding which ones I think will look good on a page, and then I fold them in half. I add glue to one side of the half, and what I want to do is be sure that when I add these tabs that I leave just a little bit hanging over, probably not even 1/8 of an inch, and I will show you as I go along. I just leave a little hanging over each edge so that when I attach the pages together they don't buckle. So once I have a tab at the top and the bottom for this one, and I'm going to rotate these, so be sure to watch to the end to see how this goes together. So for the first page, I'm just adding 2 tabs, one to the top and one to the bottom. And as you can see here, I'm lining up the pages, and so the tabs will be sticking out just a little bit when it's folded. And hopefully that makes sense. You can see just a little bit of the tabs sticking out, and there's a gap between the pages that way. So then for the next page, I'm going to add the little ticket or tab to the center of the page. And once again, I'm leaving it hanging over just a little bit. And so here you can see it's not even quite 1/8 of an inch. It's just a little bit hanging over just to leave a gap between the pages. And so once again, once I add the page, I'm going to line it up top and bottom and sides with the actual paper, the pages, instead of the tab, so that the tab does hang over just a little bit when it's folded. So I'm going to use the postcards as the tabs as well, and so that way it'll be a page and a hinge holding the pages together, and that's why we scored it on those 2 lines. So I'm just deciding here where I want to add this postcard and how I want it to look, which side I want showing up or facing up. So I'm adding glue to one part of the scored. This is the 3/4 inch scored part. And then I just realized I don't want it with this pocket since there's already something special. So I'm going to get a different piece of paper out, or page out, and I'm going to add it to it. And once again, I'm going to have the edge of this tab or this part of the paper hanging over. So this postcard, the edge of it will be hanging over just a little bit there so that it will work as a hinge. And then I'm going to go ahead and hinge these 2 pages together, and then I will continue using the postcard as a hinge. I got a little ahead of myself when I decided to add it there, and I realized I have the pocket, so I don't like to have too many extra features on, one page. So I thought it would be better to mix it up. So here I put my ticket on upside down, so I just pulled it off real quick, and then I re-glued it and added it back. So now for the postcard, using it as a hinge, you can see that I've glued one side down, and then I'm just adding glue behind the score line. That was our first score line that was 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to add my page onto that, and that way it hinges my pages together, but then I also have another little page or little flap inside the book. And so I'm just going to go through and continue adding the tabs and adding the postcards to hinge my pages together until I get as many pages as I think is enough. I'll also come back and make another one of those pockets to add as a page. So I really love this paper pack. I felt like it had fall colors, but it's also a travel theme to it, and so you don't really have to use it for fall. You could just use it as a travel journal, or you could use it as your fall journal. And so I really love the colors in it because fall colors are my colors. I love those colors, and so I thought that this was a beautiful paper pack, and I really wanted to make something with it. And so this journal, I really love how this journal comes together using these papers. And there's so many fussy cuts in this collectibles paper pack that I showed you at the beginning. And I'll link below to the paper pack as well as the collectibles paper pack. All of this came from the rubber buggy. And so this is my design team project for the rubber buggy. And what I was saying about the collectibles pack, I was really surprised with how many pieces is in it. The book itself doesn't seem thick when you get it, but it's about 12 inches, I think 6 by 12. But when you get to cutting these pieces out, I had so many pieces left over. I cut out most of the pieces in the book, but I did not use even half of them, I don't think, because I had a pile left over when I got done decorating this. And I will show you how I decorate this journal as well. I love using fussy cuts from these collections to decorate journals and different things. And so here again, I'm showing you that I'm using a postcard. And what I did with the postcards, I did put them in different spots. So I had the one in the center, and then before, I don't know if you noticed, but when I put the one towards the top, because I wanted my flaps to be layered from the outside of the book, when I did that, I did add a tab to the bottom of the page, and here I'll show you what I'm talking about. So since I'm putting this postcard at the bottom of the page, I'm going to also have to add a flap to the top because there's going to be such a gap if I do not, and the page won't be as sturdy. So you can see here there's such a gap there and the page is not sturdy. So I'm working with it, trying to make sure everything's right and readjusting it. And if you have to do that, if you have to refold or readjust, but what I realized was it just needed a tab at the top to hold it all together. So now I'm taking the cover. I'm showing you here. I'm taking the cover piece because the back side of the Stamperia covers have images printed on them. So I'm going to use that to make another pocket because with the pocket you can't see the image, the front image. So once again, I cut it to 8 1/4 by 6 1/4, and then I scored at 8 and at 4 on the 8 1/4 inch side, and then I rotated it and scored it at 6. So then I'm going through and just cutting off my flaps like we did before and creating my pocket. And so I'm folding it up here, and you can see that the front cover is going to be hidden and it's not going to be an issue. I love to find ways to use these covers because they print such beautiful images on the inside covers as well. And then once again, I'll come back and I will punch a little tab in there. And I did go ahead and ink it off screen. So once again, I'm just going to hinge this pocket in the center to my page. And then I'm going to add the last page to my journal. And so the last one will be a top tab and a bottom tab to hold it together. And I used all of the tickets from the collectibles pack, I do believe. But I love how these tickets look on each page. I think it adds to the decoration of the page. That's why I wanted to go ahead and I switched from making a ring bound journal to the Hinged journal when I saw all those tickets. So now here comes the fun part of just decorating and creating pockets on our pages. So for the cover, I'm just going to use some of the fussy cuts from the collectibles pack, and I'm just going to layer it up. And so this is going to actually be a belly band. It's actually going to hold a little journaling card even on the front of the cover. So in order to make it a belly band, I am just going to add glue to the bottom, and then I'll trim the top and add glue up at the top as well. So once again, I'm creating another little cluster using some of the fussy cuts from the collectible pack. And when I glue these together, I'm just attaching all the pieces together, and then this piece, the whole cluster, will become a pocket for this page. And so I'm going to go through the book and just use the fussy cuts from the collectibles pack, and I'm going to create clusters and then turn those into pockets or tuck spots for the journaling cards. So I'm going to leave you with the video showing you how I decorate each page. I'm adding tabs to the tops and to the sides of the pages. I'm also going to be adding clusters and adding pockets and different tuck spots. And so I'll leave you to watch that, and be sure to watch to the end, because I'll come back at the end and we'll do a quick flip through of it so you can see the completed journal, because not everything will be shown in the video. I do add a few things off screen as I get done with it and realize I want to add a few more things. So be sure to watch to the end to see a flip through. And if you don't want to see the process of me decorating it, I will have some links below in the description where you can, it has timestamps on it. If you click on each of those timestamps, it'll take you to different parts of the video. So here's the completed journal, and there I've just added a little journaling card to the front, and we did the cover together. And then here is the inside tuck spot. And then I have another pocket here. I just created a cluster using the fussy cuts and then added these little mini journaling cards. I also added a journaling card, I cut down a piece of paper from the kit to fit inside of the 4x6 pocket. And then I've just added one of the little tickets to the top there. It was a smaller ticket that was in the fussy cuts. And then here I've just used the little flower cluster that I cut out as a tuck spot. And I've added some tabs to each of the pages. I really love the look of the tabs sticking out, so I made sure to go through and add tabs to all of the pages. And then here is another pocket that I created. And I also added this one. It's just the little telephone booth, and I added it as a tuck spot for more of the journaling cards. And so I left a lot of the pages plain because I think this will be a great journal to journal in or to add photos to. And then the last page I put a pocket with 3 more of the journaling cards from the kit or from the paper pack. And that is the completed journal. I really love how it turned out, and I hope that you have enjoyed seeing this process. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.